Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Tami, and we are in the Nutmeg Notebook kitchen. We're happy to have you here today. I see we have Tiffany and Jesse are in the chat already moderating for us. Thank you, ladies, for being here, and thank you, everyone, for showing up today. We do have a guest. We're very excited about this. So you can ask questions if you would like. We would just ask that you would preface those questions with 3 question marks and end with 3 question marks. We know that the chat gets really busy because you guys love to chat, and that just helps those questions pop out at us because the chat goes really fast. And so if I don't have those question marks, then I sometimes miss the questions. So let's get started. So we have a special guest today. Vicki Brett-Gach is a certified personal chef. She is a master certified vegan lifestyle coach and a plant-based culinary instructor. She is also the author of the Plant-Based for Life Cookbook, which I have here. You guys are going to absolutely love this cookbook. You're going to want to add it to your collection. And it says that it's deliciously simple recipes to nourish, comfort, energize, and renew. And we all need that, right? So with that, Tom, let's bring Vicki on, and she is going to be cooking for us today. And I'm so excited about that. The only drawback is we don't get to taste it. Hi, Vicki.
Hi, Tami. How are you? It's so nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you as well. So I wish you were my neighbor because that would be, I just think, oh, wouldn't it be fun to have a whole food plant-based neighbor where you could, share food back and forth?
It would be just heaven. It would be wonderful. Absolutely. I wish that were true too.
Yeah, it would be awesome. So before we do the cooking demo, would you like to share a little bit about your plant-based journey, how long you've been plant-based, and what motivated you to become whole food plant-based, no oil?
Absolutely. Thank you. I became vegan in 2009. And it took a couple of years to move from being just vegan all the way to whole food plant-based. I thought just being vegan at first would be sufficient to kind of move me towards where I wanted to go. But I found that I needed to be more strict. But I moved in this direction originally for really from the standpoint of health reasons with a family history. My mom was diabetic for 30 years and had heart problems. My father also had heart problems. My mom had high blood pressure. I started to see my sister and brother who are older than me, begin to have some concerns about those same things. And so it kind of hit me, in my middle-age years that it was time for me to be a little more proactive. And I was always interested in nutrition, but I wasn't working with the right information until I found Colin Campbell and the China study. And that's really what compelled me to begin to completely eliminate animal products. And the more I learned, the more I became passionate about learning more and more and more, getting additional training, reading everything I could get my hands on from all of the plant-based pioneers, Dr. McDougall, Dr. Barnard, Dr. Furman, so many of the important people who've done so much work. And it kind of made sense. It resonated. I wanted to reduce my cholesterol. My, blood pressure was kind of in the high normal range. I didn't have a big dramatic story like so many people do. Mine is a little more subtle, but I knew that it was the right fit for me. And I was able to reduce my cholesterol by about 50 points just by making that switch and keep all of my other numbers in the range I wanted. So, it all fit together. And the more I learned and experimented with the food, the more fun I was having, the more I started to want to share it with other people. And I was given the opportunity, to my surprise. I asked and I was answered. The answer was yes, for me to write a vegan food column for our local newspaper, the Ann Arbor News. And that's kind of where I started with doing a little bit of outreach. And I did that for about 3 years. sharing recipes. And then I thought I'll start a blog, which I called, in fact, they asked me to name my column in the Ann Arbor News. I called it Ann Arbor Vegan Kitchen. And that became the name of my blog. And then soon after that, within a couple of years, I was teaching cooking classes at Whole Foods and at our local community college, and later for some nonprofit groups. I have done a lot of work with Veg Michigan and with the plant-based nutrition support group over the years. And one thing kind of led to another, and here I am, having a chance to talk with you. So very exciting.
That's so great. So were you an accomplished cook before you adopted a whole food plant-based lifestyle?
So I would say I was a home cook. I've always loved cooking, but I did want to go back and become, plant-based certified and Forks Over Knives plant-based certified through the Ruby program, and just learn a lot more in order to kind of put all the pieces together. So I did always love cooking, but I got so much more excited about it as I started putting together all the flavors that were newer to me. And as you start to leave certain foods out and begin to experiment with all of the other possibilities and building blocks to build, to create flavor, it just was really thrilling. And as you probably have found too, as we start to eliminate the oil and animal products from our diet, our palate really changes, and we have this new appreciation of fresh flavors and seasoning, and it becomes really exciting to use new herbs and new fruits and vegetables together, and fun things like that. So I have just found that it's the more I do, the more I get excited about just kind of creating. So I do have a background. I studied painting and taught painting for several years. So that's kind of where my teaching background comes from. And because I was a painter, I think that's part of why I enjoy putting together flavors and colors. And, that's kind of where my fundamentals are.
That makes perfect sense. That's why your food is so beautiful, because you have an eye for color and positioning everything. That makes so much sense to me. I have to agree with you that, once we adopt a whole food plant-based lifestyle, that we have a whole new appreciation for our food. And I have to say that we eat a much wider variety of foods now than we did when we were eating the standard American diet.
Absolutely. So many people kind of have this myth that when you give up, certain things, that you're going to feel really limited. And it's truly the opposite. Our flavor opportunities are like the world opens up in a new way, and plus we appreciate things in a new way. And I also think, kind of all these things sort of relate to each other. I think one thing, it becomes kind of a stepping point for another, but you also have this new enthusiasm for just kind of getting out of bed in the morning because you feel lighter and you feel better, and this food makes us feel happy, I feel like, so it just, one thing, it makes you feel like going for a walk, and that makes you sleep better, and things all begin to line up when you start to put together the right way to nourish our bodies.
Very well said. I have to agree with you. And there's no downside to it. It's wonderful. Well, tell us about what you're going to make today.
Yes, well, thank you. So I'm planning to make 2 recipes that are actually in my cookbook that are among my favorites. They're really simple. And I feel like what I try to do with these recipes you'll see today is make things easy. So most of them don't have very many ingredients. They're really quite simple. And we'll start with my banana monkey bars, which is a little dessert that we'll get in the oven. And then we'll move into the next thing, which I'm going to make today, which is an air fried barbecue tempeh over a salad with a creamy beet dressing, a creamy Caesar beet dressing, I call it. So we'll start with our banana bars. And so I'm going to start with 3 nicely ripened bananas. And I'll say that, and I'm putting everything into the jar, to the container bowl of the food processor. So I'm just using 3 nicely ripe bananas. And I always seem to have bananas. I always buy them, and I always have extra. So certainly you can add this is a great way to use them when you've got some ripe bananas, but I also sometimes have to freeze bananas, and I'm happy to do that because this works well with frozen bananas as well. And I'm also going to say that when I first developed this recipe, I only used 2 bananas, and that works too. But over the years, I've made this so many times. I just thought, what would happen if I added a 3rd one? It just becomes a little more moist and a little sweeter. And so it became kind of the standard. So now I always do 3 if I've got 3, but on occasion, I only have 2, and I'll use 2. So we're going to preheat our oven to 350. And then add to our bowl these 3 bananas, and then a 1/4 cup of almond butter. And you could use a different nut butter. I have tried peanut butter. I've used a nut butter that is a combination, and they all are good. I will say I find that the almond butter tastes a little more neutral, so you taste the banana a little bit more. And if you use the peanut butter, that comes through a little bit more. So your choice. And then I'm adding a 1/4 cup, and I pack this in nice and solidly so that I'm really getting plenty of dates. And I'm putting in a 1/4 cup, again, kind of densely packed with the pits removed. And then we'll add a little bit of, and I really have packed these in here. And then we'll add a little bit of vanilla, about a teaspoon. So, I don't even, this one is a brand new bottle. So I don't even usually measure. I just kind of eyeball the vanilla, because if it's a little bit extra, that's okay. So we'll just put about a teaspoon or so, little squeeze of vanilla. And then I'm going to put in 3/4 of a cup of rolled oats and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And that's it. This is the whole recipe. And what's fun about this is that it really has none of the things in it that we typically think creates a baked good. There's no oil, there's no eggs, there's no butter, there's no dairy, there's no sugar, there's no flour. So as it turns out, this is actually kind of accidentally a gluten-free recipe as well, if your oats are gluten-free. And so that's one of the reasons this turns out to be a really nice recipe to bring to just about any gathering, because it is friendly, shall we say, to every eating persuasion. If people can't have, well, I'll say if someone can't have nuts, then that would be an exception. But if people can't have gluten, if they're not eating sugar, and so on. So I'm going to put this on, and we're just going to blend it for a couple of minutes. What I'm looking for is a batter that will look a lot like kind of a banana bread texture when you're all done. So we'll let that go for a couple of minutes, and I'll clear this away. We'll keep an eye on that.
Okay. I think our grandkids would love this recipe, because,
really
they
fun one to make with kids.
Yeah. Well, they could help put everything in the food processor, and I'm curious about this pan.
Absolutely. So this pan is one of those silicone pans. I actually got it on Amazon. It's about $8 or $9, and I really love it. There's many out there. This one is made by Wilson, and I've had it for so many years. It looks great with oil-free baking, and you get this little, it's basically, I think it's called a brownie bites pan, and I use it all the time. So let's see how our batter's doing. Quite well. I think I'm going to open it up and just scrape down one time, but we're doing well. We want to make sure, it will be kind of, you'll see the specks of the dates in it no matter how long we go, I think, but we're really trying to get it to be pretty homogenized. So we'll give it another spin, and I'll just tell you more about this pan. I actually have 2 of them, and this recipe with that 3rd banana does make a little extra. So I often will put in 2 pans at once in the oven. But today I'm going to do just one so that we can get it in there and we can have a little batter to make another time. Because you can actually refrigerate this batter and make it the next day as well. So I think we're about done. And our batter looks like this. So
Nice.
it's pretty creamy, you know, kind of like a little bit of a cake-like batter. And so using this little silicone pan, we don't need to add any oil or oil spray or anything like that, because after it's baked, everything will just pop right out. And this type of pan is also made by other companies. You'll find it made by Trudeau. I have different shapes. I've got circles and bar shapes, and they all come in handy. You can find hearts and different things for holidays. And I had a gingerbread one. I saw one, I should say. I don't have it. And I think that would be fun as well. But
we have a question for you, Vicki.
Yes.
Tish would like to know, what brand of vanilla do you use?
So I often buy the one at Costco, and sometimes this one I have is an organic one from Kroger, and I also buy the one from Trader Joe's. So it just depends where I am when I need it. But I do try to buy a large bottle of it every time, because I find it, I go through it quite a bit. So I like to have a lot on hand. So I'm just kind of scraping off, and that's a great question. I'm just kind of scraping the bowl here to just give it one more spin. And then what I'm going to do with this pan is fill each of these wells with this batter. And I like to use a little scoop, because that will make sure that each of them is approximately the same. If you don't have one, you could certainly just use a spoon. This is a small, probably teaspoon and a half size, something like that.
Have you ever made them? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask you, have you ever made these in just like a mini muffin, a silicone mini muffin pan?
That is definitely, I've used it in this pan the whole time that I've made these, but I do recommend in my recipe, if you don't have one of these silicone pans, it's a great question, Tami. Yes, go ahead and use a mini muffin pan. That will work. And I have made these in different shapes. As I said, you can make them in bigger muffin shapes. In fact, you can make them in, other kinds of molds. I also have a recipe I've worked on more recently where I've made them in a pan that is like a mini bundt pan. And so you can really do this in any way you want. It will just adjust the baking time, but it will work. So you can definitely do that. And just trying to get the rest of the batter here. And they don't have to be perfect. We're just making them pretty close to each other here. And these really freeze nicely too. So this is one of the nice things about this, because if you feel like having a nice healthy treat, you know exactly what is in here. And if you have a few today and you want to put the rest into the freezer, that works really well, because these freeze really nicely, and or you can use them within a couple of days and not need to freeze them. But if you happen to have any left over, it's nice to grab to just put into a lunchbox or something like that. So we've got, I'm just going to give it kind of a little shake here so to kind of even them off, and we're ready to put these into the oven. And I'm putting them in at 350 for 14 minutes. Got a little extra here in one of these wells.
It makes a surprising amount, actually, for no more than there was in the food processor. It makes a lot of them. I love it. And I like that you're making them in the little mini pan, because you don't have to cut them.
You don't have to cut them, and each of them will have kind of a nice little crusty-ish edge. They stay kind of moist and soft, but they're easily removable from the pan once they're cool. Depending on how long we play, with this together today, we may need to kind of coax it out a little earlier. But I've got it set for our 14 minutes, so we'll keep an eye on that while we move into our next recipe. And the next thing we're going to make together.
Can I ask you a couple questions first? We have a couple questions for you, Vicki. So
yes.
I missed it earlier, but somebody did say that they love the color of your hair and it's beautiful.
Oh, that's very kind.
I have to agree. It looks wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
And we did cover that you can use a small muffin pan, Nancy. And Sandra would like to know if you know of anything that she could substitute for the oats, but not wheat flour.
That's a good question too. And Tami, maybe you can think with me. I've only used oats in here, but maybe you could use a different kind of like millet flour or, something that you do prefer in your baked goods. So I do avoid wheat flour generally, personally as well. Not because it's gluten, but just because I find I metabolize things in a better way when it starts with a whole grain rather than already in flour. But I would say that might be a place to start is something like a millet or another grain that you like to use. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, probably just the same. I've been using buckwheat flour in some things, but I don't use all buckwheat. I usually mix it with like oat flour, a little bit of oat flour.
Yeah.
So
it
requires a little experimentation.
It would require a little experimenting. Good point. Yes. So we're going to move on to our tempeh now. And I'm building with my tempeh a little marinade that it doesn't sit for very long. It just mixes together and then we start cooking it. And my recipe for our air fried barbecue tempeh, I actually also give instructions for how to bake this in the oven in case you don't have an air fryer, because that will work too. It's just that it takes twice as long and 25 degrees higher. So I'm going to show you how I prepare this air fried barbecue tempeh, which is great over a salad. And you can cut this, you're seeing this photo of my recipe on my blog, and you can cut it exactly as you see there in strips, or as I'm going to do today to make them just a little bit smaller so that they're easier to scatter and get a little bit in every bite on your salad. And so this is also another nice way to kind of add something to a salad that gives it lots and lots of flavor without lots of trouble, because you're going to make a lot of this at once, and then you can have this in your salad throughout the week, or add it to, turn it into kind of the equivalent of a veggie sandwich instead of bacon, for example, or add it to potatoes. But I particularly like it on a salad because it adds so much flavor and interest. So I'm actually cutting these you can cut them into 16. I'm cutting them into 32 little pieces. You could cut them into even more with, more squares. But I've got my tempeh now all sliced up, and I'm adding that to a dish, just a little glass dish, could be a bowl. And then we're going to create our marinade for this. And I'm adding to this, I love Date Lady barbecue sauce, which has no sugar in it. So I'm putting in a 1/4 cup of that. I absolutely love the Date Lady products. And this is just one of them that we just use a lot of this. I just love this sauce. And then to that, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of my favorite California balsamic vinegar for this recipe, which is the 7-herb Italian one. The thing about California balsamic, as you know, Tami, I know you're a huge fan too. Every flavor is great. I've never tried any that I don't like. So you can experiment and put in something kind of sweet or more savory, whatever you like in here. Any kind of fun flavored vinegar, along with that sweet barbecue sauce, with no sugar and no oil in it. So it's just a wonderful condiment to start to build our sauce. And then I'm adding just a little squirt. You can just eyeball whatever you like to taste of both hot sauce and mustard. And it can be any kind of mustard and any kind of hot sauce that you like, and just a sprinkle of salt and pepper. If you don't want to add that salt, you can certainly leave that out. I'm adding a little bit in here and then just stirring it all up. And now
That looks amazing.
It's ready to cook. It's really easy, and it's really all ready now to bake.
Oh, Vicki, I talked, and so it took the screen. Can you show it? Put it up to the camera again. I'm sorry.
Yes, we've got our saucy barbecue tempeh ready to air fry or put into the oven. So I'm going to use a little air fryer here. I have a Philips and I have the larger Breville, but I'm putting it into here because this is kind of a messy, this stage is a little bit messy because we've got a lot of sauce. And I just find that when I put it into my Philips, which is smaller, so it usually will take 2 batches to get it done. We'll see how much we can fit in here today. But I'm just kind of letting some of that extra sauce drip off before I put it into the air fryer, because the extra sauce will just tend to burn. So I'm putting it in. I'm just going to kind of use 2 forks so that some of that sauce is dripping back into our dish. We're going to use this sauce again after it's baked. But for now, we're trying to not have too much extra dripping around here so that it doesn't burn. But what I find with this, using the Philips, is that, and of course, any air fryer you have will work, but this one tends to clean up really well. So it's just kind of easy and very forgiving with a little bit of burned on sauce. It just washes up really well. So I think we're going to be able to fit most of this in. And then I'm going to put
the Date Lady products as well. And I love her barbecue sauce. It's fantastic.
Oh, I know. And the chili sauce is really good too. And I use the date syrup in my ice cream recipes. And yeah, I really like it too. I love her products. So we're going to just stick, I think I can just about get all of this in here. So we're just going to go ahead and add it all together. And I'm going to have this reserved sauce at the end after the baking time for after we finish our air frying, to roll it around in that sauce and just get one step more flavor on there. But I'm going to now put it in the air fryer at 400 for about 10 to 12 minutes. So we'll just put that on.
So we have another question about the monkey bars for you. Is it possible, if you don't have any kind of a mini pan, is it possible to make them in a 9x9 pan?
I'm sure it is. They will be quite thin, I would say. Maybe 8x8 would be better. And I have not tried it that way because I'm so happy with the small bites. Part of the reason I like that is that I do like the texture around each bite. Like you mentioned, Tami, there's no cutting. And I like that you can freeze them. And it does kind of inspire portion control. So if you want to only have a few, I mean, even several, if you put, but somehow it feels like each bite is a little bit more satisfying when you see 1 or 2 on your plate. Even if you go back and get another couple more, it's all real good food. It's all real product, ingredients. But I would say that it probably will work, but it will probably be quite shallow because in the end, we don't have that much batter. So you might experiment with an 8x8 or even a 6x, what would that be? 5x7. I'm not sure how much smaller.
Kind of like a loaf pan.
Yes, or maybe something even like this little dish. So yeah, I think it will definitely work. You'll want to adjust the baking time because now the center becomes quite a bit further from the edges, but it should work and definitely worth experimenting with. And I'd love to hear what happens. So please let me know as well.
Good idea. So Stacy says, I have and love Vicki's cookbook, trying to watch my Nutnice trying to watch my nut intake, and some recipes call for cashews. I'm wondering what she would recommend as a cashew substitute for the recipes calling for cashews.
That's a great question. And thank you so much, Stacy. That's so nice to hear. And there are substitutes for the cashews. The cashews create sort of a creamy base that's sort of a neutral flavor, but many people are avoiding nuts for so many different reasons. So depending on the recipe, I would make a different suggestion. So if it's a recipe, if it's a sauce, I'm thinking my mac and cheese sauce in the book that has the cashews in it, I would instead use either potatoes or white beans instead, cooked potatoes or beans. In a recipe like this, where we have some nut butter, I might just leave it out and substitute maybe a little more oats or something like that. So I would tend to, and actually you could probably use a neutral white bean in this as well. So those are great questions. And sometimes that takes a little experimenting too. But I would say I would welcome Stacy to send me an email if she would like to. She can use the contact page on my website, and any recipe she's looking at, I'd be happy to brainstorm with her about how we can kind of come with up with a new solution for her.
Perfect. That is so nice. And just as a reminder, you guys, if you do own somebody's cookbook or you use the recipes from their blog, we love getting feedback and knowing that you like the recipes, that it's just so fun for us and validating, because when you put your recipes out there, it's like, okay, I think this tastes good. I just hope somebody else does, you know?
Absolutely. You're so right. And the creation process is kind of a solitary one where you're kind of putting together fun new things. And then when you share it out there, it's really lovely to know that someone else is enjoying it too. I totally agree with you. So we've got our air fryer going, and we've got 1 more minute on our monkey bars, and they're going to be almost done to bring out to show you. And then we can let them cool. And so our next thing we're going to do together is prepare a really easy salad. So Tami, you are such a pro with salads. You know how to make a salad into a total wonderful meal, and you have the most beautiful salads I've ever seen. This one's quite a bit more simple than the beautiful ones you create, but sometimes this is just kind of where I land, is just to kind of put something this easy together. Just some organic pre-washed lettuce, butter lettuce, and some spinach. And I like to take some shortcuts sometimes. So we've got just, any kind of greens that you like. I love to mix it up so that it's always something different from week to week. But there's certain things I tend to kind of gravitate to, and I do like to have some color. I often, although today I don't have any radicchio or red cabbage, but I love to have those as well. But our dressing will bring some new color. I've got some organic shredded carrots and an organic red pepper that I diced. So we're just adding a little bit of that. We'll stop what we're doing and go get that out of the oven because it's ringing.
Okay. Well, while you do that, Tiffany Wilkerson said to tell you that you did a marvelous job when you made her purple sweet potato icing recipe, and your cupcakes were absolutely stunning and magazine ready.
Oh, thank you, Tiffany. She has an amazing selection of recipes that Tiffany shares too. Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, she has an amazing recipe for frosting that I put on a different cupcake, and we loved them. So thank you, Tiffany, for the inspiration and for your kindness, because she let me share the recipe on my blog. So these are the monkey bars. They're all ready to cool. I'm just going to set them aside right now so that they can begin to cool a little bit as we assemble our salad. And then we'll come back to those, and I'll show you how I like to plate those. So we'll come back here to adding a little bit of color to our salad. This is such a simple salad. I'm really, not doing anything very fancy. It's just a little bit of cut up cucumber and peppers and carrots, shredded carrots. So super, super easy, doable.
I know, but look at the beautiful presentation that it makes, though. It's amazing.
So, this is a really simple salad in a big bowl, ready to make a few servings with. And so it doesn't take a lot to get a salad. And I do believe in sometimes I don't use this all the time, but the pre-shredded carrots and things that are already pre-chopped, if it can really make the difference between eating healthy food and not, sometimes, to just have a little bit of a leg up on some shortcuts. So I'm all in favor of that. And there are weeks where I just really need that help in order to make sure I've got some fresh, salad ready. So our next step is we'll just put this aside and we'll move into our dressing, which is a really fun, beautiful color dressing that we're going to put on the salad along with the tempeh. So what we're going to do now is use a blender to put all of our ingredients in. So I'm going to just grab the ingredients here. And what we're doing is starting with half of a cup of cashews. And again, if you were avoiding cashews, I would use white beans in this recipe because that would work really well in the salad dressing, I think. And then we're going to put in half of a cup of water. And then I'm putting in a roasted beet. So we're going to end up with a dressing that looks like that on our salad. I'm just putting in one roasted beet. It's just about 1 1/4 or so ounces. What I did was buy 3 small beets and I roasted them all together in a container for about an hour at 350. And then I peeled them, and now I've got this ready to use in this dressing. But you can also cut that up and put that on top of your salad for some extra flavor. I like what fresh beets do when I add them to a burger recipe. So sometimes I do that. Sometimes we just cut them up into the salad. But beets are so good for us that it's fun to find some new ways to use them. So, but what I especially like about this recipe is, even if you don't like beets, you'll like this dressing, I have found, because people who in my family think they don't like beets like this recipe because it doesn't taste like the beets here. So it's kind of disguised and brings a beautiful color without a lot of flavor on its own. But we've got the mustard, we're putting in lemon juice. So we've got our cashews, water, beet, lemon juice, mustard, as I mentioned, and then some seasoning, which I've added together here. So we've got a little bit of garlic powder, onion powder, cayenne. If you want to add a little bit of salt, you can. And now our tempeh is ready. We'll just leave that there for just a second as we get our dressing going. We've got everything here we need to create our beautiful dressing. And we're just going to blend this together. And it's so much fun when you discover, as Tami knows, how easy it is to make a homemade dressing. And since we don't want to buy dressings that are already in bottles generally for a lot of reasons, I'm not saying you may be able to find something that you like, but the flavor's so fresh when you create it yourself. You know exactly what's in it. You can use it all week long, and it's really just so delicious. It's hard to beat. So here we go. We're going to just create our creamy dressing. And what I love about this recipe is the color.
It's amazing.
It's really amazing. So there are times when, and we're done. I mean, our salad dressing is all done. And what I love about this dressing, not only is the color, but the flavor is really quite spectacular. And you can use this over any salad. So this very simple base is what we're putting it on today, but you can really use this over anything, or as a dressing on a veggie wrap or something like that as well. But I will say that there are weeks where I buy the pre-roasted beets and have them on hand for other recipes, like my burger recipe. And they work fine. And I make hummus with them sometimes by adding it to, whatever I'm making. But I will say that I noticed that when you roast it yourself, the color is just brighter. So it's worth the trouble in this recipe, I think. But you can certainly take a shortcut if you want to. So,
well, we had that question. We had that question in the chat. So thank you for for answering it before I even asked about it. That's great. That is beautiful.
Isn't that an amazing color? So we'll kind of set that aside for just a second, and we'll go get our tempeh. And now we're ready for that.
So Stephanie says that she's also in Ann Arbor, and she would be happy to come over and help you eat this fabulous meal.
Hi, Stephanie. Yes, please come over. I would love that. So now what we're going to do is I've got my air fryer with our beautiful barbecued tempeh, and it looks like this. And so we are ready now to do the next step, which I like to take that tempeh and just kind of put it right back into that marinade and just get it a little bit more saucy. And that's kind of optional. You don't need to do that, but we find we like it that way. And now I'm just going to give it a little stir. Kind of get every one of these cubes a little bit more full of the kind of barbecue sauce that we've just created. And now it's steaming hot. So you know how delicious it is to mix hot and cold with our salad. And now we've got this beautiful hot tempeh to put over our salad. This becomes really a main dish. And we've just got, it's just all ready to enjoy. And so here we are with our tempeh on top. And the last and most wonderful step is to take some of this dressing. Any extra dressing that we don't use today, we can just put into a jar in the refrigerator, but we can just drizzle this right over the top. And we've just got this fabulous color. And what a delightful addition this is to a holiday table as well, because it's so pretty. And our salad is served. So the last thing that we want to look at is our bars.
That looks amazing. I'm drooling, and it's going to be dinner time when we get done here. I so want that salad. It looks great. So
I'm so glad.
We had a question. Oh, Susan wants to know why the bars are called monkey bars.
Oh, sure. And that's kind of a fun story. And I want to make sure we get back to that question. It's a great question too. I did want to show you before I forget that just a few minutes before we went on together, I made a batch of this in the oven just to show you what it looks like if you don't have an air fryer or don't choose to use that. It works just as well, just takes twice as long. So this is all ready to use in the same way. If we wanted to roll it back into that sauce, we could do that as well. And but yeah, we're all ready with our tempeh and our salad. And the reason I call it a monkey bar is because this is my own version of a recipe that it must be 20 years ago when my kids were little, because they're 28 and 30 now. That actually 20, yeah, when they were little and came home from school, I used to make something that was called a monkey bar snack cake. That was a recipe back before I was plant-based that came from Cooking Light magazine. And it was just called something like monkey bar snack cake. And so this is just, again, my version of a little banana cake. And I think the idea of monkey bars kind of meant, you know, like playing on the monkey bars with kids bananas and monkeys and stuff. So that's kind of where I think the name was originally developed, but I just kept that name with my little bars here. So I showed you a moment ago what they look like. And when I plate these, I will also say that this recipe is kind of a nice template to just create your own variation as you want to in your own home. You could add fresh blueberries to this, chocolate chips, unsweetened chocolate chips. You could add fresh berries, drizzle a little bit of whatever you might like on top. But what I often do, and I'm just looking for the plate, well, here, we'll use this one, that I like to serve these with a little garnish of a banana on top. So what we want to have happen, these are still pretty warm. I would normally let these kind of sit for a little bit longer than we are today, and then they'll pop right out on their own. But I'm just helping to kind of guide them a little bit. But we have these beautiful little tiny bar bites, kind of the size of a little square truffle. And I'm just going to take a fresh banana that's not overripe and just create a couple of little slices to garnish this with.
So we have a question for you about the going back to the dressing. Can it be frozen if you have some left over?
Yes, it absolutely can be. I see no reason why not. I have not frozen this one. I have frozen my ranch dressing that's also in the book, but I can't imagine why not. There's nothing in here that should be a problem. So yeah, I think that's another nice thing with these dressings, that if you don't need to use the whole thing, it'll stay good for several days in the refrigerator, but you can freeze it, use it super cubes or something like that to freeze any extra. And then we've got our little monkey bars ready for our dessert.
Just like cookbook.
Yeah, so cute. So cute. I know my grandkids would love those.
Yeah, this is a fun thing to make, I think, with grandkids, because it's fun to put together. It's really quite fast. This is one of those nice, fun recipes after school. Kids come home, you can put together all of these ingredients. It's very, pantry friendly ingredients that you can just throw together, throw in the oven, and it's out in 14 minutes. So before people, get too hungry right in between school and dinner time while they're doing homework or something, this is a nice way to kind of have a little snack. And you can plate all of these together, and you can garnish or not. You could drizzle a little bit of, homemade blueberry sauce over it, or some fresh fruit, whatever you like. But I think they're kind of fun with just the little bananas on top.
I do too. They're adorable. I can't wait to try those. They look awesome.
Yeah.
And everybody's drooling. Kathy says, haha, love that little banana on top. Jessie says those monkey bars look yummy. Everybody, that salad dressing looks mouth watering. Just so many wonderful comments. We did, good. If you're on our mailing list, Tom sent out an email this morning, and he did include the recipes. We also have the links to get them from Vicki's website. And so those are in the show notes. So where it says underneath this video, where it says see more, depending on what device you're looking at, or there might be like a little down arrow, or see more, click on that, and then you'll find the links to be able to get that. And they are also in her beautiful cookbook as well, which there's so many recipes in here, you guys, that you would absolutely love. A lot of different variety, and I know that you would love it. I like that your recipes aren't too complicated. You're like me. You want good food, but you don't want to spend your entire life in your kitchen.
That's right, Tami. Thank you for saying that, because that is true. I love good food and I really enjoy cooking, but I don't have a lot of time for it at the end of a busy day. So I do a lot of batch cooking. That's kind of one of the things that you and I have in common. I love to get things ready for the week, but inevitably we'll, run into a day where we've either run out of something that we are in the mood for, or, for some other reason, we're kind of ready for something new. And so I do like to have things I can just quickly put together, just maybe stick some baked potatoes in the oven, make some frozen vegetables, adding some seasoning to it. It doesn't have to be fancy, but it can be so, so good. And so I do try to have all the recipes in the book actually don't have any, fancy ingredients. They're all very easy to get and easy to put together. Most of them have very few ingredients, and one pot or one jar, one container for the food processor or the blender, or one pot in your Instant Pot to make a pot of soup and things like that, to make it super easy and super doable. Because I really do think it comes down to not only having food that's delicious, but accessible. It's got to be doable. You got to make it work, because almost all of us are busier than we used to be, and we've got to kind of fit things in between. And it's just got to be a priority to have good, healthy food around you, because that's what it takes in order to make this work. So
absolutely. And I want to remind people that if they bought the vegan health and weight loss bundle that we did, the ultimate, was it ultimate? Yeah. In
ultimate
February.
Vegan health and weight loss bundle this year, right?
Thank you. It was a mouthful.
But
you had a batch cooking course in there. And if they bought the one from the year before, you had a different batch cooking course in there. So I know, it's overwhelming when you get that bundle. There's so much content in there, but look for Vicki's batch cooking course as well, because she gives you a whole menu for the week. So you make everything, and then you have all that food, and she shows you how to combine it to create different meals as well. So, and that's helpful whether you're brand new to eating this way or you've been doing it for a while. And because we all get brain fade, right? Like one day you just walk into the kitchen and you think, I have no idea what to make today. It's like all the knowledge just went away.
That's right. So it's helpful to have some go-tos that are part of your rotation. And the first year, 2 years ago, I created one that I called the healthy weight loss batch cooking for healthy weight loss. And that book, actually, that ebook has no nuts in it, for example. It's all, no avocados. There's nothing in there that it tends to be a higher calorie, higher fat level ingredient. And the one I created this year is called Plant-Based Meals All Week, Next Level Batch Cooking, that includes some salads and some soups and sauces and desserts and a little bit of everything. And actually both of those, if you didn't get the bundle, are now available for sale on my website in my shop page. So they are still available in case you didn't get them in the bundle. But yeah, so batch cooking it's all about batch cooking, right, Tami?
It is. And I made your tempeh bean burgers out of this year's batch cooking, and those were delicious. And your I think they were called smoky beans. They were kind of like baked beans, but they were super easy to make and delicious. And we ate off of that for days. It was so good.
Yeah. And both of those freeze really well too. And I think that's another trick that I've used, that I know you use as well with super cubes, is that when you batch cook something that you might enjoy for a few days in different ways, because I like to kind of mix and match. Maybe we'll put those smoky beans over a sweet potato one day, or maybe wrap it with some fresh vegetables in a Ezekiel wrap a different day, or something like that. Kind of mix and match how we might use that, maybe over rice a different day. But at a certain point, we're ready for some new flavors. But before that food isn't, fresh anymore, we like to freeze it. And I just got those labels that you have on your website, the ones that are dissolvable. I'm excited to try those because I have a freezer filled with food, and labeling it has always been a challenge for me because I didn't have something like that. So I'm excited to try those out. But so I'm always kind of, it's like a treasure trove of stuff in the freezer, because I put something in, I pull something out. It might just be 1 or 2 servings of chili I made last week, or some other sauce or dressing. But by being able to kind of mix and match different sauces and flavors and soups, we can keep a lot of variety without a lot of work, because, I've always got something. It's kind of like in the bank in there, and that I can pull out on a day where I don't have a lot of time, just put it into the microwave for 2 minutes, and we have brand new meals. So it's fun to mix and match, but you got to be willing to put in a little bit of time just to And it doesn't have to be a lot. You can see how quickly we can put a few things together, but be willing to do that for yourself so that you can have that ready. And that's kind of what it takes, I think, to be committed to take care of yourself, to do that little bit of work to make sure that you're all set and taken care of and nurtured.
Yeah, because I do the same thing. I think that's, we think alike in our approach to our whole food plant-based lifestyle. I do the same thing. And I have a sense of peace. Like after I do my batch cooking for the week, I just feel like a sense of peace or contentment, because I know no matter what life throws at me during the week, the food is there. So we've got it. I can grab it to go if I, need to go help my daughter with her children, whatever comes up. I know that food is prepped, that we're, because this food can take some extra work and extra time to make. It's not like we can't go to the grocery store and just take things off the shelf. Like our son came home one time and he said, "You have a lot of food here." He walked into the pantry. He's like, "You have a lot of food here, but there's like nothing to eat right off the shelf."
Yeah.
And I said, "That's right. That's what this whole food plant-based lifestyle is about." But open up my refrigerator and there's all the food. Tom calls it our fast food. And so
that's right. That's right. So you may not have Oreos on the shelf, but instead you've got monkey bars in the freezer. So you still are keeping yourself covered for all of your, cravings. It's just you're controlling what you want to have handy to satisfy those needs and cravings that we all have. And so, I do have a sweet tooth too. So I like to have something handy. Most nights I'll just grab an apple or something like that as a dessert. Would be fresh fruit for us. But there are days where I really am just kind of in the mood for something a little bit more special. And this is not hard. As you see, it's 14 minutes in the oven. But I do think, when you mentioned that it's kind of, you have a sense of peace, I so agree with that, Tami, because if we, once we have something handy, it takes away all the anxiety that we suffer from when we don't know what we're going to eat. And so many of us, if you're new to this in particular, probably worry that maybe you're going to make a choice that you'll regret later. Maybe you're going to stop at a drive-through or something like that. But once you kind of get into the habits of creating for yourself food that is available, that will take good care of you and nourish you inside and out, you never have to worry again. So it just becomes kind of automatic, like brushing your teeth, to make a few things every week. They don't have to be fancy. They don't have to be, they just have to be things you like. So starting with, potatoes or a pot of soup or something that's just super comforting and satisfying, I think it's a great place to start.
I love that. That's awesome. Let's see. Sid was asking about the what are the stickers? They are little dissolvable labels that you can use. You can use them on things in your pantry if you put things in mason jars and that kind of thing, or they also work in the freezer as well. So you can take a marker or a pen and write on them. There they are.
Yeah. I'm so excited to use these. Yes. And then they dissolve, they melt. So unlike most stickers.
That's right. They just dissolve. So they completely, in just water, you just put water on them and they just disintegrate, which is fantastic. And Tom put a link in the chat to our Amazon. It's an Amazon link to them. And I think they come in, I think it's a roll of 500. Like you buy them and they're going to last for a very long time.
Absolutely.
So, Sid says, I'd rather spend a few hours in the kitchen and be done for the week. Absolutely. Nancy says, she has anxiety about the Easter dinner coming up. Yeah, we do have a blog post. I posted it on a link on Facebook as well. So we have a vegan recipe roundup for entertaining and holidays. I also posted how to do a vegan brunch, if that sounds appealing to you. Yes, yesterday or the day before. And our daughter requested that I do a falafel buffet this coming Sunday for our family. And, so that's what I'm doing. Falafel. I have a gluten-free tabbouleh, quinoa tabbouleh salad, hummus, I mean, we do whatever we want. We don't pay attention to trying to mimic what we used to eat on the standard American diet for a holiday. What do you do for holidays?
I agree with you. And we do whatever we're kind of in the mood for, whatever somebody has requested. We'll probably do something like this, a big celebration salad with more things even than this to make it a little more abundant, and some pasta, probably mac and cheese, and something like this with a homemade ice cream, maybe some, roasted vegetables, butternut squash, and asparagus and things like that, probably lots of nice green things. But that's what we do as well. So it's nice to have a little bit of something for everybody. And especially when you're making some nice, delicious food like we're talking about here, even people who, maybe used to more traditional holiday animal products, don't miss it, because there's so many different flavors and textures to enjoy that it's a nice way to expose people to some new possibilities, because, let's face it, this is what it's good for all of us to be eating this way, and for our planet, and certainly the animals, and for our own health. So we need to do this.
Yes. Well, and I say, good food is good food. Our good food just happens to be whole food, plant-based, but I think if you don't tell everybody, exactly what's in what you've made, let them taste it first. And then if they
absolutely
ask, tell later.
Absolutely. And that's what this is like. It's just this delightful little, nobody would be imagining that there's no eggs in here if you wouldn't have, if me, you're going to know there's no eggs in there. But if you brought something like this to, a gathering, to a holiday event, no one would think to ask. It's just kind of like a little banana blondie, if you will. So, so there it's fun. And when we talk about how good it makes you feel inside and out, and when you're truly how nice it feels to know that you're taking care of yourself, and that sense of peace that you get by having some nice food handy, there's just, you can't put a price on it. It's just so extremely comforting to know that you've got something handy that will be good for you. It's just good stuff.
Oh, I want to remind everyone too that you have a wonderful array of recipes in the current issue of Health Science magazine too. I was so pleasantly surprised when our issue came, and I was like, oh my gosh, look who's in here. It's so great. And the food looks all beautiful. Oh, those onion rings look amazing. So you guys, if you get Health Science magazine, just look at this. So Vicki has,
and if you don't get Health Science magazine, you should. It's such a great magazine. Yeah,
it is. And so it's put out by the National Health Association, and it's only $35 for a 1-year subscription, and it's a quarterly magazine, and all of the recipes are SOS free, which stands for salt, oil, and sugar free, and there's no advertising in it. It's just wonderful recipes, as well as amazing articles and interviews with all of our favorite plant-based doctors and nurses and dietitians. And it's the only magazine that we subscribe to now, and we absolutely love it. But it was such a delight to see your recipes
thank you.
in there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's such an honor, truly an honor. So I was so excited about that too.
Yeah, very exciting. Well, thank you so much, Vicki. It was such a pleasure to have it on. You make everything look so easy. And part of it, it's because you're so organized. And so, that helps make the recipes go together easier for all of us at home. Is, go ahead and get all of your ingredients prepped ahead of time, read through the recipe once or twice so you know what you need to do. You'll have less goof ups that way, and just follow what Vicki showed us today. And then look at this food. Even if you were just one or two people, make this food because you can eat from it all week long. You can put some of that tempeh in the freezer. You can put those monkey bars in the freezer, and you'll have yummy stuff to eat next week as well.
Yes, absolutely. And if we were not creating it in this format, you could layer these ingredients in your jar salad so that you'd have them handy all week long. This extra dressing I'll put into a jar so that I'll have it in that way too. And the other secret I wanted to just add about batch cooking, and I'm sure you do this too, is that even if something that you're cooking takes an hour, let's just say to a soup or something like that, you can do other things during that time. If you've got something maybe baking for a certain amount of time in the oven and something in your pressure cooker, and you could be doing a load of laundry and so forth, so that you can really kind of multitask and allow some of it to passively create itself while you're doing something else that you're enjoying. So I think that's the other thing that I find helpful when I'm preparing food, is to do some other things along the way so that we've got a few things happening in the kitchen at once.
Absolutely. And you don't have to do all of your batch cooking on one day. A lot of people say, I don't have 2 or 4 hours. You don't have to, like what Vicki is saying is just, start a pot of beans. And because once you put them in the Instant Pot, you don't have to check on them. It'll just go to warm when it's done, and you can go about your business and come back to them later. So you can actually sneak in making something every day if that works best for you. So
that's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah, that's a great point.
Ann Peters says, I made 3 batches of Vicki's banana monkey bars this past weekend. I usually make her brownies with blueberries and her muffins. Love her salad dressings and all of the recipes in her book.
Oh, thank you so much. That's really nice. Thank you so very much.
And Linda says, I just registered for Vicki's newsletter on the Ann Arbor Vegan Kitchen website. So nice to learn about that today.
Great.
How nice.
Welcome.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Yep, just lots of great comments, and so such a pleasure. We'll have to do this again, and this was so
Tami.
much fun. Okay, sounds great.
I'm so honored to be part of this with you. Thank you so much for including me. It's just a delight to talk to you.
Well, we enjoyed it so much, and obviously everybody who was watching enjoyed it as well. So happy spring to you, and we'll get together and do this again one day.
Thank you. Enjoy.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, everybody, that was so much fun. I loved it. And I hope you guys will try the recipes as well. And if you are a subscriber to Nutmeg Notebook, Tom did send out an email today, and he included the recipes in that email. Or if you go to the notes underneath this video, where it either says see more, or there's a little down arrow, depending on what device you're watching us on, then you will see links down there that you can use to find the recipes on Vicki's website, as well as she does have all of her links to her website and her social media. Follow her on Instagram as well. And her food is delicious. So let me tell you this, if you like my food, her and I cook very similar. We like the same flavor profiles. And so if you like my recipes, you can feel pretty assured that you're going to like her recipes as well. And so she just does such a great job. And the cookbook is absolutely beautiful. So I know we all like pictures of food, and there's lots of pictures in here of food. So, and a wide variety, ethnic dishes and all kinds of fun things. And Tom has a link to that in the show notes as well. Also, this morning, we posted a batch cooking video on YouTube. That was this morning, wasn't it?
It's not posted.
Oh, I thought you posted it. So I just lied.
We went grocery shopping.
We went grocery shopping and he didn't get it posted. Okay. tomorrow morning, he's going to post it. And so it was my batch cooking from last week, and he got it edited. And so
But it's not.
it's not live yet. It hasn't gone published. Okay. I thought you did this morning. So, okay. Well, that makes sense now.
Everybody can look forward to.
It'll
tomorrow.
give you something to look forward to tomorrow. So you'll get to see what I batch cooked last week. And so that was fun. And Tiffany posted on Instagram, invite plants to every meal is Tiffany's account on Instagram, also on Facebook, and she posted a caramel sauce that looks amazing, and it would be delicious, I think, over those monkey bars. And so look for that. You can go to Tiffany. I bet you can. Tiffany can post links in the chat, can't she?
I think so.
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
could.
Ridge.
Okay, so Tiffany, if you could post a link to either your Facebook or your Instagram account so people can see that caramel sauce, that really caught my eye and it looks amazing. Stephanie says, are the interviews with Glenn on your YouTube channel? We have interviewed Glenn and we've had him on our YouTube channel, but he interviewed us, and that is on his podcast.
He sent the email. He sent us an email.
Yeah.
But we haven't had a chance to go back and see what we did.
We haven't had a chance to watch it
Yeah,
yet.
they're telling us here in the chat. I'm trying to see what window we're on.
We should be.
We locked up. Okay, it doesn't want to do that camera. That was weird. Okay.
Did it lose it's plugged in?
Yeah.
That camera's plugged in. Well, come on over.
How come I see that it's the camera is locked up? So I'm going to have to do this.
Okay, that's fine. Come on over.
So yeah,
Join me.
they're telling us in the chat that we did a really good job on the interview, but I don't remember what we did. Was that like
Oh, Jesse posted a link of it.
was it like 2 years ago, or when did we do that?
No, it was about 6 months ago or so.
No.
Yeah, it was last fall, I think, or it might have been in the
Mm.
summer. But you know, he had to have some surgery and
He had delays, yeah.
a lot of things happened. And so he wasn't able to get it up. Stephanie says we lost Tami's sound through the mic in front of her.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Let me check. It looks like it's working.
Looks like it's working.
I'll check. I'm going to put the headphones on.
Okay. M. Peter says you two are so cute. Thank you. Tom's going to put his headphones on, hopefully. And Jesse posted the link to our interview with Glenn. And so you've got that. Okay, so Tiffany posted, it's invite plants to the number 2 every meal. And Facebook is invite plants to TO every meal. And so check out that caramel sauce. It looked amazing, and it would be so delicious over any kind of like banana ice cream or any of your creamy treats. It would be so delicious with that. So it says, Stephanie says her voice sound changed. What's it sound like to you? On the monitor over here, it looks like it's still working. Hopefully it is.
Singing sound.
Okay, they said that the echo is gone from Tami's voice. Everything is fine again. Okay, thank you. It's crazy, the stuff that happens. So anyway, people have asked what I'm making for our Easter gathering. And again, it's the falafel. So if you just look up falafel patties on Nutmeg Notebook, then within that one post, I give you all the links to all the side dishes. So oil-free hummus, sheet pan roasted vegetables, Mediterranean style, and a tabbouleh. I'll get to that too, and a tabbouleh salad that is made with quinoa, and so it is gluten-free. And our daughter said, let's have that for this Sunday. And it's pretty easy. I can make everything the day before, which is really nice. And I'll just make the patties, the falafel patties, but I won't cook them until the day of, but I can make everything else. They say now it went back. It's fine. I don't know. And then also I did a blog post for a brunch. And so that works really well. I've done that for holidays as well. It's really fun to do brunch. You can make the waffles ahead of time. You can even make them today and you can freeze them. And then you can just heat them up in a toaster or a toaster oven. And then you can put them in an oven set to the lowest temperature on a cookie sheet. And if you put a rack, like a cooling rack on top of the cookie sheet, and then you can just keep them warm, make the blueberry sauce, make the tofu, the sheet pan tofu scramble. You could make the sheet pan pancakes that I've recently posted. And then the sheet pan breakfast potatoes makes for, can you show that picture? And
Which one?
that one right there. And that makes for a really simple, easy, I mean, I would eat this for brunch, lunch, breakfast, dinner, you name it. It's delicious. And the breakfast sausages. So, and everybody would love these, whether they are plant-based or not. And I mean, again, good food is just good food. Ours is just happens to be plant-based.
All the rain, water's back in the pond behind you.
So somebody's asking, where do we find the waffle recipes? So all of my recipes are on my blog at nutmegnotebook.com. And your best way to find them is Google Nutmeg Notebook waffles or Nutmeg Notebook brunch. And Google will take you right to the blog post. And if we've done a video, Google will give you a link to the video as well. So Tiffany says, I'm thinking of making Tami's lasagna as part of our Easter dinner. That sounds good too, Tiffany. And I thought that's what my daughter would choose, but she did not. She chose the falafel, which I'm kind of glad because it's something different that we haven't had in a while. And we did buy some corn on the cob. We're going to have corn on the cob with it. I know that's not traditional, but the grandkids will like that. And they don't like the falafel, but they'll eat hummus with pita bread. And so, you know, this works out for everybody. Okay, let's see. Oh, there was a question earlier about the bundle. Did you see there was a question about the bundle earlier?
People were answering that, you know, following the
Okay.
girl, there was a discussion, but I didn't remember a question.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, that's a good thing. You guys are so helpful in Jesse posted a link to waffles and I have a recipe. I did those 3 recipes. Yes, I did the waffles in a YouTube video. Also, you guys, the carrot ginger soup. If you have not tried the new recipe for carrot ginger soup, it's delicious. So it's in a video that we have on YouTube where I'm using the Vitamix and I make 3 recipes. And then just the printable recipe is on the blog. So just Google Nutmeg Notebook carrot ginger soup. It's made in the blender. You just oven roast the carrots, the garlic, and the onion, and just for a little bit. And then you just throw everything in the blender. And if you have the Vitamix, it will actually heat it up. And so you don't even have to heat it up on the stove. So that would also be very good. Kelly is volunteering at the local shelter on Sunday. That is so nice. And then making dinner for herself. So that's nice. Annette says she used millet flour. Yes, wonderful. Yeah. So, so that's what we have going on. Oh, and we're going to be celebrating our anniversary this Friday. So it will be 44 years for Wedded Bliss. Hello, Tom. Hello, Tom.
I'm in the chat. You can't do that to me.
I was telling them that we're getting ready to celebrate
44
our
years.
44 years.
I don't have a mic.
You don't have a mic. No. And so it just, you know, Easter is kind of early this year. So sometimes we have space between our anniversary and Easter, but it's kind of close this year. So Tiffany says, happy anniversary. Thank you so much. still going strong after all these years. And they said it wouldn't last. And here we are. So let's see what else. Oh, I want to remind you that our 2 courses are still on sale. So did you go in and okay. So for the beautiful chopped salad course, you can save 25%. Just use the code HBM Holland Bowl Mill 25 HBM, and you'll save 25%. And on the batch cooking with Tami course, you can save 25% with the discount code batch 24 BATCH. No, 25. I don't know why I said 24.
25 cents.
I know. Do you think I'm getting tired? I'm getting tired. We did.
It's 44 years and 25% on the batch course.
Did we freeze?
Yeah, that other camera is frozen, so I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe it got a text or something and it locked it up.
That could be. So
and that was off for like 4 days. I had to reset it.
Oh, you had
so like
to reset
from
it.
April 1st to this afternoon, that was expired. And so I reset it.
Okay. So he reset it. So the batch cooking course is still on sale. We did marathon grocery shopping today. Since we're, hosting for Easter this Sunday, we had a lot of extra stuff that we needed to buy. And we were going to do a grocery haul, but we also did our daughter's Costco shopping. And so I had to run and deliver her stuff while Tom got set up here and he needed his nap. And so we were thinking about doing another grocery haul, but there wasn't enough time.
It's all put away now.
It is.
So maybe next week, whatever.
I wouldn't want to pull it out now.
No.
There's so much work putting it all away. I was like, is this all gonna fit? I don't know, but it did.
The back of that Subaru was full.
And the back seat.
And they were
of course
heavy.
we had Katie's groceries too, though. Yeah, they were all heavy. So anyway, it's been a very busy day.
Are you watching the time? We're 20 minutes over.
Okay, well, it's probably time to say goodbye then, isn't it?
Yeah.
So unless anybody has any questions, lots of happy anniversary, 44 years. Yep. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you for putting the codes in the for Jesse.
For our anniversary, we just want a thumbs up on our YouTube.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up on our YouTube channel. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And
okay, yeah, no, Jesse is talking about the HBM 25 is actually 25% off of our chopped salad course. Not off the Holland Bowl. Yeah, so Jesse, if you can correct that so it doesn't confuse people later. Yeah, HBM 25, because we did that to support the perfectly imperfect sale that we did earlier in early March, or second week of March or whatever. But a lot of folks are just now getting those bowls, and so we thought we would continue that percentage off so that they can get the course and really learn how to chop up in that bowl. So
that's right.
Yeah, 25% off the there it goes.
And Peter says, happy anniversary. I'm so super appreciative of your fantastic channel and blog. I often have to catch a repeat, but it's so invaluable to me and all of your listeners. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Lives are fun, but bear in mind that 90% of our viewers are watching the replay because not everybody can be here right now at this moment.
Right.
So, we'll have 150 people on a live, and then a week later, 1,500 to 3,000 people have seen it.
Yeah.
So,
very cool.
So,
but we really appreciate you guys.
Catch it when you can.
Yes. Kathy says, Tom to the rescue.
What did I do? Oh.
What did you do?
I saved something.
You did save something. So anyway, whatever your plans are this weekend, we hope that everybody stays safe. We're hoping for some warm weather. It's been so cold. It was in the 30s this morning. It's been very cold to go walking.
It stopped raining finally, but now it's been down to freezing every morning.
Yeah, it's just been super cold. So anyway, I think that's everything that I had. Oh, and the Breville is still at $319.95, you guys.
I
it's
put the link in the newsletter for those of you that are subscribers, which takes you to our show about the Breville. And in there and underneath the video for that is this, what they call the carousel. And you can use the arrows to click back and forth because there's some other items we talked about that kind of go with some were random and some go with the Breville. But I'm sending you to that carousel because that's where we have that promotion listed on our site, on our Amazon Live site right now. So if you want to check that out, follow the link in the newsletter. I don't think I have that in the show notes here necessarily.
Okay, so Summer Nichols has a question. Can the programs you have on sale be purchased to use on a cell phone instead of a computer?
Yes, they will play on any device you choose, whether it's a computer, a tablet, or a phone. Because it's a PDF file that any of those devices can read, and then the content, the video content, is all videos. And we actually store them. They're not visible on YouTube, but we store them on YouTube and they play from the YouTube platform within our course. So the short answer is yes. You can download it, the PDF, into whatever device you want, and you can watch the videos on any device you choose. And you just need to register the one time. Once registered, you just log on to your account at Nutmeg Notebook and you can access your course from any device. You do not have to register for each device.
You can download the PDF to multiple devices too. So you could put it on your PC, you could put it on your tablet, you could put it on your phone.
Yeah. Kathy Sabo is asking how the Good Shelf channel is doing. They are developing the site. We are waiting for them to, we've been doing some beta work with their Good Talks, their live podcast platform. But the record function wasn't ready yet. They're close to having that done. And just like on YouTube, maybe 25 people would be on the live broadcast. But if it was evergreen, then another 250 to 1,000 people would watch it later. In other words, most of our viewership is watching a program after the live. And so we actually did write to them and let them know that we were going to wait and experiment with that more later once the platform is a little bit more developed. We'll still be posting some things here and there, but we're not doing the Tuesday morning podcast show anymore because it wasn't recordable at this point in time. So
it wasn't a good use of our time to do that and not be able to share it with people.
Yeah, and then
later.
Consequently, we learned this morning that YouTube has launched on our site the ability for us to take previous content, like some of the work that we've done with Sia from 60 Living. There's a couple of interviews that her and Tami did back and forth, talked about intermittent fasting and so forth. There would be perfect podcasts. And YouTube, I haven't learned the mechanics of it yet. Give me time.
You will.
But YouTube now has a formal podcast tab channel that's now showing up in our, what do you call our site management, our studio, and YouTube Studio, where we keep track of our videos. There's a new button for us to push to designate something as an audio only podcast so that you can be,
so our interviews with various people can be turned into, if it's not a cooking demo, then it can totally be turned into a podcast.
Conversations can
and that way you won't be burning up your video your streaming
your data stream allocation.
Instead, you'll just be able to listen to us while you're cleaning house or going for a walk or
batch cooking or
when you're batch cooking. So we're excited to explore that. We did just learn about that today. And I just I wasn't getting, I have almost 1,000 followers on the Good Self, but people just were not engaging in commenting on the posts and that kind of thing. And so I just don't feel like I have enough time to fulfill all those different social media content places.
Okay.
Because it takes up so much time.
Okay, Kathy, no, they do not have access to your contacts. They only have the information that you put in yourself. And perhaps that we invited you to join Good Self. So the answer is no.
Did you read the question?
Yeah, Kathy Saab, thank you for reminding me. How is that good? Okay, that was her first one. Kathy asked, if I sign up, do they have access to your contacts? No, they do not. Summer Nichols is asking about the Hug-a-Plug, I think you're referring to for the Breville. If you go to amazon.com/shop/nutmegnotebook and click on small appliances, that will open up the page with the Breville and all of the related accessories, including the Hug-a-Plug. They're all on that page. Just shop for amazon.com/shop/nutmegnotebook and go to small appliances.
I think we also showed it on our last live.
Did we show the plug in the last live?
We had it in the carousel underneath.
Did we show it in the, did we do show in, we had it in the carousel?
Yeah, I picked it up and
Okay.
showed.
Yeah, if you want to see, great, thank you. Let me change my instruction. I've changed my mind. Amazon.com/live/nutmegnotebook and watch the most recent live stream. It's all about the Breville and its accessories and a few other odds and ends. We got some new measuring spoons or something. So
I did. I had some new stuff to
yeah.
show.
And then the carousel,
last live.
the carousel where you can scroll back and forth and look at the items. Those are the clickable links at that point underneath the video, all right there with the video. So you can actually see show and tell and then make a selection.
Yeah, but the Breville is $80 off right now. Instead of $399.95, it's $319.95.
And that's been going on for over a week now. We're surprised.
Well, it'll be a week Friday or something.
When did we
Thursday or
notice it?
Friday. A week ago.
Okay.
Oh, Jeanette, actually, one of our local ladies sent me a text and she said,
hey, you guys.
She's like, hey, do you
your
know
Breville's on sale?
The Breville is on sale. You should let everybody know because it's a great price. And that is a great price. So it doesn't usually go lower than that. It doesn't usually get lower than that, even on Black Friday. $319.95 is a really great price for the Breville Smart Oven Air, which is our fabulous machine back here over my right shoulder.
Thank you for the Amazon.com live link, Jesse. Appreciate it.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's get signed off here, Miss. It's now 30
By the
after.
time we get cleaned up, it'll be like dinner time will be over.
Yeah. Okay.
But we want to thank Tiffany and Jesse for helping us today, posting all the links and answering everyone's questions. You guys are absolutely amazing. We hope everyone has a wonderful holiday weekend if you celebrate. And we should be back here next Wednesday. As far as I know, I don't think there's anything else that we have special going on between now and then. So we'll actually maybe get a little bit of a break for a few days and have fun with the family. And we hope you all have fun with your family.
And we have a couple of YouTube videos that will be published in the next couple of days.
Yes, so. We will. We will. So watch for that batch cooking one tomorrow. That should be a fun one. And check out all of the holiday recipes and ideas I have for you
on the blog.
So I put together a whole brunch menu, and so lots of fun things happening. All
Happy
right,
Easter all. See you on the flip side.
Tiffany says, I think Tom should do all the cooking for your anniversary. Well, he's actually thinking whether we should eat out.
I was searching for fancy restaurants, and we have some great plant-based restaurants here, but none of them are white tablecloth. And so,
well, the ones that have the oil-free menus are your little mom and pops, which we don't mind. And we don't mind those.
I even extended my search into San Francisco. I found one called Wise in.
There's lots of vegan restaurants in San Francisco.
Yeah, but it's another little little house thingy and an outdoor patio. So it wasn't a white table.
Well, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Did you want to go over to San Francisco?
I was checking the weather. I was thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, if the weather's nice, that might be fun.
Find some. It's up north of Market Street. We haven't
been over to San Francisco since COVID hit.
Yeah,
it's been a
no. I was looking at that. I think it's called Weiss, and they have a menu because I was looking for something that had a lot of gluten-free choices.
Jessie says she agrees with Tom that eating out would be wonderful. Yeah, I don't really want to have to do dishes.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
Does he? All right, you guys. This is really fun.
Happy Easter. Happy anniversary. See you next week.
Get off that easy. All right.
There's
thanks.
flowers. I bought flowers today, right?
You did.
Right over there.
You did. He did buy flowers today, and they're pretty. He picked them out too.
I picked those out.
He picked them out. He did good.
I knew Tiffany would like them. I thought you would too.
Yeah. Oh, I think he was buying those for Tiffany, not for me. Oh. All right, you guys. Thanks so much for joining with us. I'm Tami.
And I'm Tom.
And we help you get healthy and stay healthy
one meal at a time. Bye-bye.
We'll see you next week. Stay safe.